I've had fares leave behind phones, wallets, even a pet snake once, but nothing prepared me for the night a passenger left behind a baby. A tiny, perfect baby, wrapped in a blanket, with a note and a stack of cash. I was just a cab driver, but in the space of one fare, I became a father. This is the story of the most heartbreaking, life-changing thing I've ever found in the back of my cab. It was the end of my shift, about 4 a.m. The city was quiet, just the sound of the street sweepers and the occasional siren. I was heading back to the depot when I got a ping from a quiet residential street, a single woman. When I pulled up, a young woman got in. She was maybe in her early 20s, dressed in clothes that were too thin for the cold night. She was carrying a large, heavy duffel bag, and she was crying silently. She gave me an address for the bus station, a one-way ticket out of town. I didn't ask any questions. People cry in my cab all the time. Breakups, bad news, just the weight of the city. I just drove. The whole ride, she didn't say a word. She just stared out the window, tears tracing clean paths down her cheeks. She was clutching the duffel bag like it was the most precious thing in the world. We got to the bus station. The meter read $28.50. She reached into her pocket, pulled out a wad of cash, and shoved it into the partition. It was a thick stack of hundreds, way more than the fare. "Keep the change," she whispered, her voice raw. She opened the door, got out, and walked quickly toward the terminal entrance. I watched her go. I felt bad for her, whatever she was running from. I started to count the money. It was over $1,000. That's when I heard it, a soft, muffled sound coming from the back seat, a sound that didn't belong. I turned around. The duffel bag was still there, and the sound was coming from inside it. My heart hammered against my ribs. I reached back, unzipped the bag, and looked inside. It wasn't a bomb. It wasn't drugs. It was a baby. A tiny, sleeping baby, maybe a few months old, wrapped tightly in a clean white blanket. Next to the baby was a small, sealed envelope. I pulled the baby out. He was warm, smelled like baby powder, and was absolutely perfect. He opened his eyes, looked at me, and let out a small, questioning coo. I was holding a human life, a life that had just been abandoned in the back of my cab. I opened the envelope. Inside was a note written in shaky handwriting, and another stack of cash. The note read, "His name is Leo. He is 3 months old. I can't give him the life he deserves. I have nothing left. Please take him to a fire station or a hospital. The money is for his first few weeks. Please don't hate me. I love him more than anything." The second stack of cash was another $5,000. I looked at the bus station entrance. She was gone, lost in the crowd, a ghost already. I sat there for a long time, the baby in my arms, the money on the seat. My first instinct was to call the police. That's what you're supposed to do. But then I looked at Leo. He was staring up at me, his tiny hand reaching out to grab my finger. He was perfect, and he was alone. I thought about the system. The police, the social workers, the foster care. I knew what that meant. Endless paperwork, cold offices, a life in limbo. I thought about the mother, the desperation in her eyes, the fact that she left him with money, with a clean blanket, with a name. This wasn't a monster. This was a mother who made the most agonizing choice a person can make. I made a decision. A crazy, illegal, life-altering decision. I drove away from the bus station. I didn't call the police. I didn't call my dispatcher. I called the only person I could trust, my sister, Maria. "Maria," I said, my voice tight with adrenaline, "I need you to come to my apartment, now, and don't ask any questions." When I got home, Maria was waiting. She took one look at the baby in my arms, the money, the note, and she didn't say a word. She just took the baby and started making a bottle. For the next few days, we lived in a bubble of secrecy. We didn't leave the apartment, we didn't talk about the mother, we just focused on Leo. I learned how to change a diaper, how to burp a baby, how to walk the floor at 3 a.m. I was terrified, exhausted, and completely, utterly in love. But the secret was a heavy weight. I knew I couldn't keep him forever. I was a cab driver. I lived in a one-bedroom apartment. 1 week later, I made the second hardest decision of my life. I called a lawyer, a good one. I told him a story about a baby found on the steps of a church. I didn't mention the cab, the mother, or the money. The lawyer was skeptical, but he was also a good man. He helped me navigate the system. Leo was placed in temporary foster care, but I didn't let him go. I applied for every license, every certification. I fought for him. It took 2 years. 2 years of home visits, interviews, and endless paperwork. But I won. I adopted Leo. I still drive the cab, but now I have a car seat in the back. I have a new purpose. I never found the mother. I never tried. I kept the money. I put it in a trust fund for Leo. It was the only thing she had left him, and I wouldn't take that away. I learned that night that life doesn't always follow the rules. Sometimes, the greatest gifts are left in the most unexpected places. I went to work that night a tired, lonely cab driver. I came home a father. And that, I realized, is the only fare that truly matters. If you want to hear more stories from the dark side of the city, hit that subscribe button. You never know who I'll pick up next.